I welcome you to this session of ISO 9001-2015, and today we are going to talk about subclause 7.5.3.2. It is under 7.5.3 control of documented information. So as usual, first of all, I will read out the requirement to you as given in the standard. Clause number 7.5.3.2. For the control of documented information, the organization shall address the following activities as applicable. A. Distribution, access, retrieval and use. B. Storage, preservation including preservation of legibility. C. Control of changes, for example version control. D. Retention and disposition. Documented information of external origin determined by the organization to be necessary for the planning and operation of the quality management system shall be identified as appropriate and be controlled. The documented information retained as evidence of conformity shall be protected from unintended alterations. And there is a note below this. Access can imply a decision regarding the permission to view the documented information only, or the permission and authority to view and change the documented information. So that's all in this clause. This is a slightly longer clause, and let us now discuss it in more detail. So, clause number 7.5.3.2, it is regarding control of documented information. It says that for the control of documented information, the organization shall address the following activities as applicable. Number A. Distribution, access, retrieval and use. That means where do we distribute it in a controlled manner, to whom this document has to reach, and who should have access to this documentation. That means can have a look or see what this documentation is, and retrieval and use of this documentation as necessary. So, this is A, distribution, access, retrieval and use of this information. And B is storage, preservation including preservation of legibility. That means the documentation has got to be stored in a controlled manner, the storage has to be proper, and the documentation has to be preserved including preservation for legibility. The document shall not get torn off or defaced in any manner so that it is not readable. So legibility, readability or possibility to use it in a normal fashion, it should remain. It should remain legible. It should be readable, and people should be able to use it. So in that fashion it has to be stored and preserved, so including the preservation for legibility. Now we go to point C, control of changes, version control. That means if the documentation has got to be changed for some reason, because the process has changed, or because the design of the product has changed, or because of any other reason, if there is a change to be made in the document, then the version of the document has got to be changed in a controlled manner, so that we can clearly differentiate between the new documentation and the old documentation. So the changes have to be done in a controlled manner. When we change the documentation, the version number of that document has got to be changed. so that we can identify that we have the latest version available, and we are working on that. Then the retention and disposition. The old documentation, how long the documentation has got to be retained, and if that documentation has become old and infructuous, it is not required anymore, then we have to decide the retention period and then properly dispose it off in a manner so that confidentiality is not lost. We have to dispose of the documentation in a manner so that its confidentiality is maintained. That means maybe we carry out shredding of the documentation so that it is not readable anymore, and ensure that all the copies are destroyed except one copy which is retained as record. So we should be retaining the old documentation as a record, and only one copy should be retained in a controlled manner, and we write over that the controlled documentation, and this is obsolete document. So clearly the old or obsolete document must be marked as obsolete, and then only we should be storing it, so that the control of changes is maintained. And retention and disposition, how long it will be retained and how it will be disposed of, that has to be decided by the organization, and accordingly we have to carry out the retention and disposition of that document. The next para says, documented information of external origin determined by the organization to be necessary for planning and operation of the quality management system shall be identified as appropriate and be controlled. That means the documentation of external origin, maybe the Indian standards or any other standard or anything which we have taken from outside, from the market. So the documented information of external origin has to be kept updated all the time. Periodically we should update it. If a new version has come, we should buy the new version and destroy the old version, remove the old version from use. So documented information of external origin determined by the organization to be necessary for planning and operation of the quality management system shall be identified as appropriate. It has got to be properly identified, and it is to be controlled. That means periodically we have to check if the next version has come. We should make the old version obsolete and adopt the new version of that particular document. So the document of external origin have to be controlled, and we can have a format for controlling this documentation. And next para says, documented information retained as evidence of conformity shall be protected from unintended alteration. Now here the documented information means the records. The records retained as evidence of conformity of the product, they have got to be protected from unintended alterations. We should maintain them in the original manner in which they were made. Nobody should be allowed to make any alterations except the people who are authorized. And there is a note below this, access can imply a decision regarding the permission to view the documented information only, or the permission and authority to view and change the documented information. So for this, the organization's management has to allow the appropriate person or the authorized person who is authorized to simply have a look at the documented information available with us, and who otherwise has the permission an authority to view and change the documented information. So if the documented information has to be changed in any manner, then the person who is authorized has to be named by the management. So clearly only the authorized person can have access to the documentation, and only the authorized person can change the documented system, not everybody. So accordingly we should do it and maintain it so that confidentiality is maintained and the document is maintained in a proper manner, issued in a controlled manner to the people where it has to go, and that is what the clause says. I hope you have understood the requirement of this clause, but if there is anything which is not understood by you, please give your comment below this video and I will try to explain to you once again. And I hope you are liking my videos. If you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and also share my videos with your friends and colleagues so that whatever we discuss, the advantage of that discussion may also be availed by your friends and colleagues who are busy in ISO activities either in your organization or elsewhere. And also please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and also press the bell icon so that as and when I load my video, I normally load it on Sundays, and as soon as I load, the information will reach you and you will be able to see my videos without any delay. So thank you very much for watching my videos, and next Sunday we shall be discussing clause number 8, which is operation. Okay, bye bye, see you next Sunday. Thank you.